Hi there, dear ones. I'm here and hopefully you are too. I'm looking forward to many of you showing up for this. I have um, created some sacred space for us to be in together. There's some candles lit in the background. The office really has a sweet, lovely, warm, inviting energy, and that's how I'm feeling with you. Sweet and warm and inviting. And so um, we're going to take a look at the law of attraction from the perspective of what our group is about, which is inviting miracles with the law of attraction. And the topic is you are the miracle. Because as I've begun to say, this is not your mama's law of attraction group. Okay? This is something quite different, quite unusual, I would say, in the world of law of attraction and manifesting miracles. And the difference is that rather than keeping our focus out there on the miracles that we want, which of course are important because, we're in a world where we get to want things, we get to desire things in the world for ourselves. But in this group, we keep bringing the energy back to ourselves because it's an inside job. It's always an inside job. And so when we talk about aligning with your miracle, it really is about coming back to your own core issues and asking yourself, what can you do to shift into better, more complete alignment with the energy of your miracle? So we're going to take a look at that because if we keep our focus on the miracles that we want, do you understand how that can keep us in a state of longing, which means keep us in a state of lack? Hi, Laurel. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, Hannah. Thank you for being here. So we're looking at how to keep bringing it back to ourselves, how to really keep making it an inside job. Joan, yes, you too. Hey, so glad you're here. Thank you. Because again, if we keep our focus and our energies directed at those external miracles that we want, we're kind of missing the mark. Because the only way for us to really be able to manifest that miracle is to become a perfect match for it. Hi, Hannah. And the way to become a perfect match for it is to keep coming back to yourself. Where am I out of alignment with that? How can I be better aligned with what it is that I want? I'll give you an example that I talked about in one of the classes that are in the files for you to listen to, the live classes. And that is when we were waiting for our son to be born. He is adopted, and we had contact with his birth mother beforehand. And the whole time we were waiting, which was about 3 months, I was in this very rarefied state of, I really want this baby to come, right next to a very egoless state of, whatever this baby wants to do, I want to be a match for that. And so if baby wants to come, I want to be a match for that. If baby does not want to come, if the universe does not want to send the baby to us, I want to be a match for that. And so that's about surrender, isn't it? And that's about allowing our core issues to be healed to a deeper and deeper extent with every miracle that we say that we want. Because every one of them is going to require surrender. Every one of them is going to require setting ego aside. We've talked about in the classes enlisting ego rather than resisting ego. Because we can fall into the trap of, oh, ego's just a real pain in the neck, and always getting in the way and trying to talk me out of what I want. Well, ego's job is to preserve and protect us. And so, yeah, ego does that. But there are ways to enlist your ego Susan, hi, I'm so glad you're here. So Joan asks, so how do you become a match? Well, you ask yourself, this is a really good place for us to talk about making contact with your quantum self. So let's assume that there's a quantum Joan who is already experiencing the miracle that you're wanting. And so if you go inside, connect with that quantum Joan who's living in that parallel reality, and you ask her, what's different about you from me? She'll tell you exactly what's different. She'll tell you how, hey Susan, okay, glad you'll be home in a few minutes. She'll tell you what it is that you can think about shifting in order to become a better match for whatever it is you're wanting. She's the best consultant you'll ever have for how to become a match. And you know, when we ask those questions of our quantum selves, we have to be ready for that thing with the big S called surrender, because there's a piece of us that's going to have to shift. There's a piece of limiting belief. There's a piece of ego-driven fear. There's a piece of ego-driven belief in lack that we're going to have to, Joan says, oh duh, ask. Yeah, exactly. But, you know, ask the right entity, ask the right part of you. You could ask your soul, but, you know, asking your quantum self, for me, this is so powerful and so effective. Asking my quantum self that already has what I want, how did you get there? How did you get it? What's it like having it? What's different about you from me? Because believe me, your quantum self will be, bam, really honest with you. Sometimes I'm taken aback at how honest she is. Like, well, girl, if you really want what I want, then better sit down and listen up, because there's some big things you need to change. There's some big things you need to surrender to, because you're acting as if you want this thing, but you're really not willing to go the extra mile to become the person for whom that miracle really is the next logical step. So is this sounding like miracle making, or is this sounding like healing core issues? Because let me ask you, do you think there's a difference between making miracles and healing core issues? That's why I call this particular sacred space that we're in, the focus of it is you are the miracle. Because if you don't get that you are the miracle, it's going to be difficult to attract those external miracles that we want. Healing, yes. Yeah, it really is all about healing into being a match. And Laurel says a little of both. A little of both what, Laurel? A little bit of healing and a little bit of what? Tell me, because I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know what you're all thinking, because I'm really glad that you're here, and I want this to be a dialogue. And, you know, at some point, I may do this on Zoom, because then we really could have a juicy dialogue. I love Facebook Live, but let's face it, we really can't converse with one another. And with a small group like this, we could be able to do that. But that's something for another time. So, you know, I'm going to talk just for a second about something that Jesus said. You must become as a little child in order to enter the kingdom of heaven. Joan says, yes, Zoom. Yeah, that would be fun, I think. That would be fun. And I think we may give that a whirl next time. So you have to become as a little child in order to enter the kingdom of heaven. Well, what do we know about the kingdom of heaven? That's where miracles happen, baby. That is where miracles happen. That's what that means. That doesn't mean a place. It doesn't even mean a time. It means a state of being in which we are so readied by surrender and love for the acceptance and the experience of miracles that kind of can't not happen. So any thoughts about that, please let me know. Well, yeah, great. A little healing and learning to listen to quantum self, Laurel says. Yes, that's true. And I'll tell you one thing that makes those two fit together like hand in glove, and that is that learning to listen to quantum self leads to healing. If we really want what we say we want, and quantum self gives us input about, well, here's what you might think about shifting, girl, then that is going to lead to healing. Because all that healing means is moving in the direction of more wholeness, moving in the direction of less fragmentation among the parts of ourselves. Some of you here have talked about shadow with me. You know, that's a fragmentation of self. And quantum self will always tell us, okay, here's where you're missing the boat. Here's where you're missing the boat. And that's really the only thing we want to pay attention to. If my miracle isn't forthcoming, and I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for it and wondering, what the heck, come on, you know, then I really want to see what's the best way to listen to my quantum self. Well, I just discussed that with a client yesterday, and I'll tell you what I do, which is just very, very simple process. I sit quietly, and for me, I close my eyes, and I think about that part of me who is already experiencing the miracle that I want. And I just allow myself to feel like I'm making contact with her. I might think about how I see her. I might think about the life I think she's living. Remember, she's in a parallel reality to the one I'm in. And then I ask her, okay, parallel, quantum, Jan, you know what I want, and you already have it. Can you tell me what it's like to have it? Can you tell me how you became a person who has that? Did you have to overcome any of the things that I'm dealing with, or did you bypass all that? Do you have a completely different history from mine? So, and you'll find that the questions will come up for you in your own particular way, based on what you really want to know about this process. So the best way to listen is to just decide that you want to have this conversation. And look, you know, somebody would say, well, you're just making this stuff up. You know, you're being quiet and then you're asking a question, listen for an answer, and you're just making it all up. You know me. No, I don't think so. I know the difference between making stuff up. We have a joke in my family because everybody in my family knows how to make shit up. So we say we're all graduated from MSU, make shit up. This isn't about that. It's the same thing that people say when they experience a past life regression. Yeah, it sounds like you're kind of writing a novel. It sounds like you're making stuff up. But here's the difference. There is a ring of truth within you which you could not explain to any other living soul, but you know it's your ring of truth. Okay? And so we trust that when we go into these deeper processes that involve a quantum self, or involve visualization, or involve what we're doing here, which is miracle making. Does that answer your question somewhat, Joan? And I welcome other questions. Let me know what you're thinking. And let me know what miracle are you working on, and how do you think you need to become better aligned with it? Because, you know, this is a time for us to really dive into exactly that stuff so that you can have that experience. Okay, great. Oh, good. Glad you're home, Susan. It'll probably be easier for you to tune in. Yeah, I'm glad, Joan, because it actually is a very simple process. It's not complicated, and it isn't even, well, I think to some people it's probably extremely woo-woo, but, you know, for us it's not that woo-woo, because it's just tapping into something that is available to us. Staying safely in your home. Good. Do you have harsh weather out there right now? Our weather here is actually gorgeous. Windows open, which we don't always get except a little bit at this time of year. So that's one of the miracles around here. So I want you to think for a minute about, how am I the miracle? Think about miracles that you've already attracted. You know, for me, one of the ones that comes up is attracting my soulmate husband. To me, after being in an unhappy marriage for 14 years, okay, oh, right, got you. Staying safely in your home is relative to your financial issue. Yeah, okay, so that's the miracle that you're intending. Great. And so how do you, let's do a scale of 1 to 10. How aligned do you think that you are at the current time with manifesting that miracle of being able to stay safely in your home with the financial issues resolved. Yeah, that's what you're focusing on. I get that, and I know how important that is to you. And so we want to take a look at, so how in alignment are you? And, oh, you're an 8. That's fantastic. Okay, so we're talking just about refinement here then. So what's the wobble between 8 and 10? I'm assuming there's a limiting belief. I'm assuming that there's an imagined ceiling, you know, that personal glass ceiling we've talked about that stops us, that is of our own making. Can you say what that might be so that you could address it? And everybody else, be thinking about your own miracle and how much in alignment with it you are and what might need to shift. So, well, the dollars required, okay. So the dollars required to resolve the financial issue. Okay, so that's the wobble between 8 and 10. Are you in touch with the limiting belief you have around acquiring the dollars required? Because, you know, again, we want to, moving up a notch. Okay, you're moving up to a 9? Or are you saying that you need to move up a notch? My thoughts, Susan's saying, my thoughts from my original miracle for myself has been totally overwhelmed by the situation in the White House and Congress. Yeah, you know, everybody's vibration has been affected by that. I was having lunch with a friend today, and we were talking about that. She's also, as everyone here is, highly sensitive, empathic, very tuned in politically, and just cannot stay tuned in because it messes with the vibration too much, Susan. So Joan is saying you need to move up a notch in your vibration. And what thought do you need to shift? Because we can what if that thought for you right here, right now. If you're in touch with what that limiting thought is that keeps you at an 8 rather than slam dunk a 10. And again, Susan, I think everybody here is probably in agreement with you. And I think that, you know, we have an obligation these days to stay out of overwhelm about what's going on in the White House and Congress. One of the lines that I'm drawing for myself is that you personally can't make enough cash flow. Okay. Is the cash flow up to you? So while Joan answers that, I'm just going to say that most of us are having to make, this is the decision I'm making for myself. I cannot stay in touch with everything that's going on in the White House and Congress. I keep enough of an ear to the ground that I sort of kind of know, but I don't want to be in reaction. Okay, you can't make enough cash flow. What I told my friend is I want to know when somebody with a backbone steps up and says, okay, here's what we're going to do to change things. Then I will put my attention there. So, Joan, you're saying to yourself, well, what if I can't make enough cash flow to be able to get out from under this financial crisis that we're in? Well, let's flip it over, because, you know, it seems ridiculous, but what if you can make enough cash flow? Do you have a number in mind? Do you know exactly what cash flow, and you don't have to tell us, but do you know what amount of cash you have to flow in order to resolve? Okay, you do know exactly? So what if somehow magically the universe decides going to give this woman her cash flow to get her out from this situation that's so stressful? Okay, you know the amount. You know the amount, and so we know from everything we've studied is that we have to leave the how up to the universe. So how do you become a woman who is aligned with making enough cash to be able to throw it at the current financial situation to get out from under and resolved. What's different about the woman who is totally in alignment with that and you? Susan says, I feel there's no point going toward my original miracle since I might be forced to stay in this house, never be able to move on. Okay, but you're really jumping ahead there, Susan. You're doing a lot of what ifing. What if all that crap doesn't happen and you are able to move on? And that's not Pollyanna. That's because we don't know. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, who might step in. So Joan, are you thinking about what's the difference between you and the quantum self who has already attracted the cash to resolve this situation? How is she different from you? Remember, aligning with the miracle is more about you than it is about the cash flow or resolving the financial situation. So we got to keep bringing it back to you. Keep bringing it back to you. She believes. She knows, right? She knows. What would it take for you to believe? How much disbelief would you have to suspend in order to let yourself believe, yeah, I can do that. Hell yeah, I can do that. And I feel like everything in the universe, and I love this, it's kind of a throwaway line, but I really love everything in the universe is conspiring to make that happen. Okay, but you're going to have to change those thoughts, Susan. Susan says, because I don't trust them with our best interests. And so, again, we don't know what's around the next corner. So we have to what if our way back into peace, Susan. She knows how to let go of untruths. That's interesting. So the untruths would be, I'm assuming, the miracle, the universe is not supporting me. I'm not going to be able to make that cash. I'm not going to be able to make this happen. I'm not going to be able to get out from under this. But your quantum self says, wait a second. I've already gotten out from under this. I know I can. I did it, so I know you can do it. But if you doubt yourself, do we see how that poisons the well, in a sense? It really dampens the intensity of our ability to vibrationally align with what Joan is talking about, is getting the damn cash to get out from under this financial situation. So if you let go of the how, do you get some relief from that? Or does that feel like, oh yeah, right, let go of the how. Then what am I supposed to do? Sit around on my ass and wait for things to happen? No. There will be inspired action. There will be things that cross your path or come to your mind that feel different from head down, working hard at this. So we really want to support you in becoming that person who mirrors the quantum self. Great. Joan says that helps. And, let's be honest here. This is not a one-step deal. Because we're working with limiting beliefs that have been chronic for most of us. The ones I'm dealing with right now are about my body and my ability to release heaviness, physical heaviness and emotional heaviness. I have to keep revisiting those because when they've been around for decades, and I don't know if yours have been around for decades, Joan, but mine have. And so it's not a one shot, let me what if my way out of this and let me quantum self my way out. No, sometimes, we do what the Maharishi called sneaking through the sleeping elephants, and we get there, bam. But more often than not, it's just like any other skill, any other thing that we want to accomplish, we have to keep at it. We have to make it a habit. One of the courses that I took and got trained in years ago makes me a habit of attraction coach. Well, what that refers to is that there are things we have to make a habit because they raise our vibration, they align our beliefs, and they really assist us in manifesting the miracles. So we don't want to, yeah, this is not your mama's law of attraction group, but at the same time, there is a certain system that we want to follow. There is a certain rhythm that we want to instill. There is a certain commitment to regularity that we want to embrace. And that's why I really encourage everyone to find even 5 minutes a day to do something with respect to shifting your vibration, shifting your core issue. Bam, that's it, a habit. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, because look, we're all victims of the culture of instant gratification. And so we wish, oh, maybe if I do this quantum self thing once, it'll catch up. Well, yeah, maybe it will. But chances are you're going to have to, I know I have to develop a relationship with my quantum self, who's already dealt with the heaviness issue, okay? She has a lot to share with me. She has a lot to teach me. And unfortunately, when it comes to chronic issues, I don't know about you, but I'm not a one-trial learner. So I have to keep dipping into her wisdom and dipping into her counsel. So making it a habit might be 5 minutes every morning, might be 5 minutes at night before you put your head on the pillow. But we can make it a habit because there really is something in it for us. How's everybody else doing processing what we're talking about? Laurel, how's this landing with you? And Susan, I guess my question is, wouldn't it be interesting to connect with your quantum self, who is way on the other side of this political crisis, this national crisis that we're feeling so desperate about, and to get some input from her perspective from, as it were, the other side of the stage? Be very interesting, and could be quite reassuring. When I was having lunch with my friend today, and we were tossing around all kinds of ideas about, well, it could go this way, well, it could go that way, well, how are we going to learn this, how are we going to learn that? And as we were leaving, she said to me, you didn't realize it because they were behind you, but there was a table of two guys, and every time we said something particularly provocative about the situation, one of them whipped his head around like, who's saying that? That's interesting, Well, nobody attacked us for what we were saying, but the point is that this pendulum is swinging wildly right now, so we don't know. We don't know which way it's really going to go. Yeah? So, let's come back to, no, this is not your mama's law of attraction group, and the way it is your mama's law of attraction group is, develop the habit. Develop the habit of attraction. Laurel says, I need to find the time. I'm not sure I even know all of my limiting beliefs. I know I don't deserve it. I can't do it. Well, look, Laurel, I'd be very honest with you. I've got pages and pages in my law of attraction notebook of limiting beliefs, because once you get started, they just keep flowing, and it's kind of staggering because we've all grown up in a culture that limits us and tells us we can't. So I would just start writing them down. Just start writing them down, and then maybe just play with what-ifing them over on their pointy little heads, as I like to say. Susan said, I'll work on that. Maybe if I can find some time for a deep meditation, I'll have something exciting to report back to you. Yay! I love exciting. I like to hear the juicy stuff. So I really want to respect your time. I'm keeping this to a half hour. And I will do this again next Thursday. And I will let you know. I may experiment with doing it on Zoom, but actually this worked out really nicely, so it may be another Facebook Live. The thing that's great about a Facebook Live is it automatically goes into the video files on the group so that anybody who missed it can watch it, or you can watch it again. So I want to thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time This is exciting for me. You know, I've said it many times before, there is no teacher without students, and I love teaching this material and learning right along with you. Oh, thank you so much too, Laurel. Thank you for being here. I'm glad this works for you. Excellent. Yeah, we'll probably do the Facebook Live again next week. I can do a Zoom another time, maybe a workshop-y kind of thing. I'm thinking about some ideas. So, thank you so much. Thank you, Susan. I really appreciate. She says, thank you for your time and dedication to us all. Thank you, Laurel. Perfect. I don't always have this time off. Oh, I'm so glad you did. I've missed connecting with you. And Joan says, thank you. You're very welcome from my heart to yours. Okay. See you in the group. Love you all. This is Janice Masters, the Shaman Mama from janicemasters.com. Bye-bye.